again, everyone, and welcome to 90s to Now. Of course, I am Jerry Strauss. And folks, we've had a lot of great guests on this show, guests that we love, guests that we've watched for many years, but it's very rare that we have not one, but two people in our purview right now who the term legend, I would say, would apply to both. They are here, they are together, and they are ready to talk to us. So we're so happy to welcome Bill Daniels, Bonnie Bartlett. How are you guys?
Hi.
Fine, thank you.
We're pretty good.
Good, very good. We're so happy to talk to you, and we announced that you guys were going to be on the show about a few days ago, and there's been so much excitement, so many people reaching out, and can you talk about this, and can you ask this question and that question, where there's no way we're going to get to it all, but we want to talk about some pretty exciting things coming up. Number one, we've spoken about it on this show before, I believe, third iteration of 90's Con, which is the biggest pop culture convention centered all around the 90s. It's coming to Tampa, Florida for the very first time, and you guys are going to be a part of it September 15th through 17th.
That's correct.
And you guys were a part of, I think, the first 90's Con in Connecticut. Was that a good experience for you? Are you excited about doing it again?
Connecticut.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay.
We weren't.
I'm sorry. But okay, but you have appeared on conventions together before talking about.
Yes, and we did a big one in Chicago with all of the Boy Meets World kids.
Great. Okay. And
so
that's got to be a wild, exciting atmosphere. Is that something you guys enjoy? Just the rush of everyone coming to see you?
I think we enjoy it very much. I think sometimes Bill is not sure. Well, the ladies cry, things like that. But we love meeting the people. It's a way to meet all the people in the United States. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah. And you guys have been such inspirations and such beloved figures in pop culture, both yourselves and your characters, of course. And you guys you're hitting the road quite a bit this fall because you're making appearances not only at conventions, but also some big bookstore appearances.
Yes, because we both have a book. Bill's book came out about 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. But it's getting a resurgence because I just published a book. And so with the advent of that book, he's had a resurgence on his books. So we're both selling books, and we loved writing them. We felt it was important. And mine is a different. Bill is a little more funny, tells stories, and they're all very funny. And I go a little deeper and talk about a lot deeper things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's two totally different experiences, but I mentioned at the top that you guys are you have to be considered legends, and for both of you to share so much of your life and to have worked together as much as you have, but to be able to truly tell your own amazing stories, two totally different books, two totally different ways. It just speaks to just how much value there is in revisiting and learning about both of your stories together, collectively, and individually as far as what you've accomplished in your professional lives. Did you guys work together at all? I know it was a few years apart, but
not at all.
Not at all.
He sat down and wrote his in longhand and never looked back.
Wow.
Somebody did we have a wonderful lady who can take his handwriting is very good. And so she just did it. And that was it. And he never looked back. I wrote and rewrote and rewrote and rewrote because it was much more complicated. Hi, Mike. That's
our son just came in.
Good. Okay.
I think it's okay, Mike. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so very different. We're very different in that way. Mm-hmm. He has never revisited his book. And I've read mine dozens of times because I was reworking it, and I had somebody help me, Lord Lester, a wonderful writer, actor, everything, and he kept saying, go deeper, how did that feel, what was that like? So I kept going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I have had a wonderful responses from my book, women particularly, who have said, thank you so much for writing this. It's important because I'm 94 and there are so many things that have happened in my life from way back, the very beginning, you know, some abuse. Now, Bill had abuse too in his life in a different way, but, and then all the way through till now, all the changes, the Me Too thing, you know, has been very big.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, I mean, the stories.
Speak out. Women can now speak out and hold people accountable.
Yes. Thankfully. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just amazing. Just the idea of revisiting, you know, from your eyes, all these different eras of the entertainment world and everything that you guys have both gone through and experienced. Have you, I know that, you know, you've mentioned the different approaches to your book. Bill, have you gone back and read your book at all? Or was it really the process of just writing it and then that's it, I'm done, and kind of just moved on?
The second.
Just moved on. That's brave. That's bravery.
Bill doesn't even look at his performances.
No, I don't like to look at my performances.
And I love to look at mine.
Yeah. Does that apply to both of you as far as your work on camera as well? You don't like to look, do you, Bonnie, like to go back and review what you've done? Bill, not so much.
And I say, oh, there's a nice lady, or oh, isn't she pretty? Or, you know, it's like another person. So I enjoy that very much. With Bill, he doesn't want to look at it because he'll say, why did I do that? He doesn't want to, he doesn't think it's good. What could I should have done better. And so I don't want to look at that.
It's the curse of being a perfectionist.
Yeah.
You can always find something to be critical about. But I think, you know, I think the world is of the opinion that you guys are doing just fine.
Yeah. We feel that way too. We feel very lucky.
That's great. And
yes.
We're very lucky in life and in work, both.
That's amazing.
And whatever challenges we had, we feel that we have done a pretty good job in meeting those challenges and going ahead. So we're pretty happy.
That's awesome. You know, I want to ask you because, you know, we talk about, you know, the projects that people most remember you for and ask you about, especially at these conventions and such. Did you ever think during the course of your career that the work that you were doing could potentially follow you years and decades later and still be just as a big a part of your lives now as they were back in, say, the 90s?
I
never gave it a thought.
Just
done.
Yeah, when the work is done, he's very much that way. He does the work, it's a job, he does it, it's done.
Yeah.
He has enjoyed. Which one do you like the most? Which one have you enjoyed doing the most?
Probably John Adams.
Yeah.
In 1776. I think it was a challenge, and I enjoyed the challenge. And I guess it turned out all right.
It was wonderful.
No.
Absolutely. I want to hit just a few questions, if that's okay, that people sent us. Again, you know, people wanted to ask about all different types of aspects of projects in your life and everything, but I really want to boil it down to what I thought were some of the most important questions, if you don't mind. And there's somebody with the handle of the Wine Burglar on Reddit who sent in a question I thought was interesting, because whenever we have a musical guest on the show, we always ask about how they approach performing songs that they've done time and time again over years, over decades, thousands of times. I feel that same way. That must apply to you as far as interviews go. Interviews like this one, or at conventions where you're asked about certain things in these famous roles that you've had again and again and again. How do you approach that? Because you're kind of you've probably answered some of the same questions hundreds of times. Is it still fun for you to kind of go out there and be on, you know, I'm not going to put this show in the mix, but some of those larger outlets? Is it fun to answer questions for the fans?
It is for me. I mean, I love that. I love communicating with people. You know, that's my thing, and that's why, I mean, even as a little girl, I love imitating people, and I loved just being with people. I'm very much of a people person.
Mm-hmm.
Bill is different. Bill was put into the business.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you begin to enjoy it?
Oh, well, that's a hard question for me to answer.
Would it be Zeus Story, or no, before that, when Tennessee Williams picked you to do the road tour of
Cat on a Hot
Cat on a
Tin
Tin Roof?
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
I think that's when he first realized.
Well, I was put in it, and I wasn't agreeable about being in it for the longest time, until after a while I thought, Bill, you know, you're not bad at this. So enjoy yourself. So since then, I've had a different attitude about all of it. And when Tennessee chose me, it was quite an honor. And since then, I've enjoyed doing it. And if it's a long run, like 1776, it's a challenge to be able to look at it in a different way each time you do it, about how you feel that day or what else has been going on in our lives. And so it's been a challenge that I've enjoyed.
But you always said that the music helps a lot when you're doing a musical. It's when they start playing the overture.
Yes, yes,
it puts you in the mood.
Yes, it does. It certainly does. I remember when we first started rehearsing 1776, and I hadn't heard them. They were rehearsing.
The chorus was all the men. All the chorus men, all the men.
All the chorus, yes. And but I had my doubts about the whole show, thinking nobody's going to be interested in this. But then I heard them suddenly sing, "Sit down, John. Sit down. For God's sake, sit down." And I thought, hey, they sound pretty good. I think maybe we have something here.
Amazing. Here's a tough question for you. This is from Bazinga3604. And I'm going to say you cannot name each other to the answer to this question, but who was your favorite or a favorite person whom you've shared the stage or shared the screen with? Again, so you know, obviously no pressure to name each other. I know that you guys love working together, but who else have you worked with over the years in any project that you found particularly joyful?
Well, I always enjoyed working with his name escapes me now. Ed Flanders was a wonderful actor. And as all good actors know, he was a great listener. I can judge an actor's talent by his ability to listen to you instead of thinking of what he's going to say next. Yeah. So Ed was like that. And I really enjoyed working with him. Yeah.
Bonnie?
There's so many for me, but one of the young actors that I worked with, I was so surprised because I didn't think I would like working with him at all. And I absolutely enjoyed every moment of it. And that's Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul.
You're right. Yeah.
He was so different in his approach to comedy. And I just found him so real and deep. And I don't know, maybe he's from Illinois, country like I was. I don't know, part of it might be that Midwest. It was just something that I really responded to in a very different way, because he was a totally different kind of actor than I had experienced.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have to ask you, this begs the follow-up question, because obviously it's so well remembered, your time shared on the small screen with a group of teenagers back in the 90s, of course. And when you're talking about working with people who have that seasoned maturity to listen, um, it's an uphill battle when you're younger. I know it was for me. What was the experience like of kind of becoming accustomed to both of you, to sharing that stage or sharing that screen and finding that rhythm with the kids?
Well, with me, it was never to take the part of a senior advisor telling you what to do. Never, ever would I do that. And as a matter of fact, they were kids and they enjoyed fooling around in rehearsals. And I just stayed in my dressing room until it was time to shoot. And then I would come out, and whatever they did was fine with me. And it worked out well that way because I wasn't judging them, and they never felt that I was judging them. And they were free to express themselves in their own way.
And they will tell you, both Will, they've all mentioned this, they've all said, we learned from him without him telling us anything. We just learned from the way he worked and the way he behaved. And I think that's true. That's the way you do learn.
Yeah. And, we talk about how popular, prior roles were before, but there's not only so many people watching your old shows, but podcasts about your old shows and your old castmates going out and talking about the old shows. And it's become really this celebration of the influence, Bill, that you've had on your castmates, because that is talked about all the time on these recap shows. So it's clear, and it's amazing the influence that you had. Tyler J. Witt sent in a question I thought was interesting. What was a piece of wisdom that you wish, playing a teacher on TV, that you had the opportunity to teach, but never, that you wish you had the opportunity to teach, but never got a chance to, of course, for Bill?
That's a good question. That's a tough.
A piece of
anything, you taught a lot of you gave a lot of wisdom on the show. Is there something that you, Bill, would personally have liked to teach that you didn't get a chance to teach?
No, I didn't. All I know was that on our final show, they all left the room. And, he was a bit of a stern fellow. And so I was able to express myself to an empty room. And I said, I love you all. And that was the truth.
A little boy recently at one of the cons said that he was afraid of Mr. Feeney at first. He was afraid of him.
Yeah.
And I think that Bill is always surprised at something like that. And he doesn't understand that. He doesn't want to send that out, but he is stern. And he is, not always. He's also very funny. He wants to be funny, very much. But I was surprised by that. And I think Bill was too, that this little boy looked at him and he said, I thought you were mean. And that was a kind of a shock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from the other side, I guess I would say that what the show did so well was create this situation where, just like the kids on the show getting closer over the years with the character of Mr. Feeney, us as the fans were able to do so and kind of get to understand him, and instead of being intimidated by the facade, just feel more feel closer to him on a personal level, and likewise. And I think as your character, Bill, was able to, in the end, admit, if only to an empty room, that there was an emotional closeness. I think the closeness was there with the fans as well. So it was just a great kind of evolution of that relationship. So I think that's why it's so special over the years. People just enjoyed from beginning to end. I'd like to ask one more question from one of the fans who sent this in. Exploded Email Storage writes in, is there any general life advice that you would give to those of us in our 20s and 30s? And you guys wrote separate books. You've got separate viewpoints. So I'd love a piece of advice from each of you that you might direct to somebody who's in their 20s and 30s right now.
That's a hard question.
Well, I certainly have one. Having lived 94 years, having gone through a young period where it was all about me, Alice actress, I didn't give a thought to anything else, for a long time. And I would say to the young people, because we are in an emergency now, we are in an emergency to save our democracy. And I would say to anybody in their 20s and 30s, and I think they are doing it, is to pay attention and to be involved in your country, in your world, be involved in the world. I came from a little town in Illinois. Nobody cared about anything that went on outside of our town and our little community. That's got to go, because we're part of the world. And we have to pay attention to the whole world and what's happening there. And then just do our best.
Yeah.
Just do our best to live a good life and be a good citizen. That's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well as to be a good citizen to yourself. First, you have to take care of yourself. Make sure you're okay. Take care of yourself, and then be a good citizen.
Great. That's sound advice. Absolutely. Bill, any other advice for that generation?
I couldn't have said it any better than my wife just did, to tell you the truth. And I'll go along with that.
I like it. I like it. Teamwork. I'll ask you one follow-up then. Collectively, what advice might you have? I think the world looks at you guys, forget about the Hollywood couples of today, but when it comes to the goals of longevity and happiness, building a life together, it doesn't get any better than, when we see you guys side by side sharing a thought like this. What would be one piece of advice for those looking to build that type of relationship?
First of all, be open to it. Want it to. Some people don't really want it to happen. Some people keep to themselves and they can never open up to anybody else. And so be open to it and pay attention, communicate with each other. And there are lots of times that are so hard you think you might not make it. There are times when you can dislike somebody that you're living with. You have to work through that. And both people have to adjust. You have to be adjustable. Bill?
Well, I think it's all based on mutual respect, to tell you the truth. We don't have one bit of jealousy between us about what is happening to the other one. We say bravo to all of that. And that mutual respect, I think, has gotten us along pretty well.
And I think it's important. It has been. It's works, but it's always important that the woman, if it's a woman, both, that they both have their own work. That they both work in something outside of the relationship, so that helps to respect each other.
Yeah.
You respect each other's life, each other's work.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Right.
And if it happens to be that you've got kids in your home, you better respect that work, because that's hard work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you guys, of course, have, you've proven that works so well. Of course, you both have your own work. You're both have amazing, legendary careers, and you both have books. Let's mention them right now.
Right.
Of course, we talked about yours, Bonnie, Middle of the Rainbow, how a wife, mother, and daughter managed to find herself and win 2 Emmys. And then Bill, of course, There I Go Again, How I Came to Be Mr. Feeney, John Adams, Dr. Craig, Kit, and many others. And it's so exciting because, again, you guys are going to be back with your old castmates at 90's Con, September 15th through 17th in Tampa. Also, on September 17th, you'll be appearing at the Oxford Exchange in Tampa, 3:30 p.m. for a book signing. And
New Jersey.
Yes, well, Big Texas Comic-Con.
Yes.
You are headed to San Antonio, Texas, October 6th through 8th. And then, yes, you're coming to Jersey, which is where we're recording this right now. So you're coming to us. Bookends Bookstore, October 21st in Ridgewood, New Jersey. So, so exciting. People are going to be able to get out and come get up close and personal with you guys and check out your books as well. Congratulations on what should be an exciting road trip, guys.
Yes. And if somebody wants to get a signed version, they can go to bonniesmiddleoftherainbow.com. And I have a P.O. box, and if they, send the thing, order, I'll sign it, or Bill will sign it. If they want, that will work for him too.
Very cool. Very cool. And again, we could sit here for 3 years and talk about all the ins and outs and nuances of the amazing things you guys have done that we continue to love throughout your career. But we're just so excited to have been able to sit down and talk to you for a little bit and get some wisdom, some pearls of wisdom for all of us. So thank you guys so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. You've been wonderful.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for checking us out here on 90's to Now. Join our Facebook group, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share it all so we can keep growing this show. And we look forward to next time. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the road. Thank you so much again, Bonnie, Bill. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.